So for once in the UK the sun's out, which is a lovely surprise, especially considering it's, well, spring, or probably even winter, I suppose. It's supposed to be still in winter technically. But speaking about the light coming back out, we're going to talk about today, metaphorically, the light coming back within you as the dark night of the soul begins to come to an end. Obviously the dark night of the soul is a very treacherous journey. It's difficult and it can sometimes almost seem never-ending. But it does end, so long as you're doing your daily practices, keeping your mental state in the best possible way. And it will come to an end as we clear out what is essentially our junk from our system that are found in the form of beliefs, found in the form of fears. And as we get rid of these, we sort of lessen the attachment to the identity, and this new wave of bliss enters our body as we begin to see the light of the light at the end of the dark tunnel. So I'm going to go into this today, representational of the weather outside. In what is usually a very dark and gloomy England, we have the sun, so you know, it just seems perfect. So we'll jump into it. If you're interested in this, then by all means stick around. So we're going to talk about how it feels and what it's like and what happens after the dark night of the soul. And we know the dark night of the soul can last forever, seemingly. There's uncertainty in that as well, because we never know how long it's going to last. Because it is an individual thing. It depends on how much karmic crap you brought in with you to the dark night of the soul to be dissolved. And also how attached you are to this identity in the mind. And as we become less attached to that and be more entrenched in our witness space, in our being, we connect again with the feeling of bliss, the feeling of ecstasy that we had once as a kid and that we lost, and that the dark night of the soul, using pain delivered to us through our higher mind because of our lack beliefs in ourselves, is trying to deliver us back to that. Essentially, this is my experience of it. And this is where we go after the dark night of the soul. It's an inner revolution, an inner dimensional upgrade. And the reason we're put in this situation is because we've been prats all of our lives, essentially. I can only say this because that was just my experience. I used to believe things to be true about myself that, wow, we take in these things from our conditioning, our parents, our friends. They tell us things about ourselves and we get conditioned to believe them to be true about ourselves. And sometimes these things can be pretty wacky and pretty horrible and definitely not based in reality. Usually based in their unconscious beliefs or their unconscious karmas that they're actually putting onto you. And then we take them on to be our own, right? But they can be quite painful and they can be quite heavy. So we need to sort of lighten the load as we purge through the dark night of the soul, as we get rid of these limiting beliefs. And there's a free guided meditation down below, and that will begin to help you do that as it stokes up a vibration of love within you, a vibration, an inner feeling, vibration of bliss that will allow your attention to be more on this feeling of inner bliss as these limiting beliefs arise in your consciousness, so that you can decide whether they are really what you want to be holding on to. Remember, if they come from fear, why hold on to them? They're not based in reality, and if they come from love, they are. I'm not asking you to believe me, but I'm asking you which one feels better within your consciousness. Because if it feels good, that's the indicator, the feeling indicator, that it's coming from our higher mind or is in alignment or in harmony with life and what life wants from you going forwards. Anyway, a little tip. Let's jump back into what happens next. So you've done the groundwork, you've committed to your, what I call sadhana, which is essentially just the yogic phrase for doing the work, which are usually breathing practices mixed in with yoga or whatever your practice is, maybe Tai Chi. I don't want to say I know anything about that because I don't, but any discipline that is specifically spiritually designed to create a spiritual result from a physical action. We all know with sport we can do a physical action and get a physical result, or the gym, right? Muscles. But with yoga and meditation and breathing exercises especially, we do a physical action and we get a spiritual result, be that an inner purging, be that an inner awakening, be that an inner recognition of what we're not, meaning this identity and meaning the pain that it causes us. The dark night of the soul, we really have to begin to see and admit that it was us causing it all along. Now, Janie, I don't want to create pain for myself. Why am I doing that? Well, you're doing it so that you can heal the wounds. Your vibration has become so high now that these wounds that you'd repressed through your life, these beliefs about things that people tell you which aren't true objectively, subjectively they are to you though, because you believe them, right? And now belief isn't enough anymore. We now have to go beyond beliefs and prove to ourselves that actually I'm not these things anymore, and our vibration is so high that they can't even stay anymore. So that's why they often come to the surface in the dark night of the soul, and why they come so fast and why they come so hard. It's life's little guide saying, yo, you're not respecting yourself, you're not perhaps treating yourself with enough respect and believing yourself to be this really powerful being that we know we are, this invincible, eternal being. And this is life's way of saying, look, here's your alarm clock. I'm going to keep busting that alarm clock until you wake up. The alarm clock being pain. Because unfortunately, a lot of people languish in this. I don't even know if that's a real word. I could just be making things up now. We seem to stay in the dark night of the soul for longer than we need to. So what happens next is really where I want to go today. I know I've waffled for a long time there, but sorry, I have an itchy foot. What happens next? Well, as we begin to transform these painful beliefs that usually come up as a healing process because they're attached to a memory of the past or a past experience that left a deep wound within us, and we all resonate with that, right? Whether that's an ex-girlfriend, whether that's an abusive parent, whether that's an abusive relationship, etc. This can be lots of different things. And as we get rid of these wounds, because our awareness is increasing, because we're doing our practice, our daily practice, we then begin to, as these beliefs drop away, they'll come up and you'll see them as silly after a while. You'll be like, why on earth did I ever believe that to be true? Because it's so obvious I'm not that. I am this powerful being, this witnessing capacity within me. And as we do get rid of these, I want to say it's like being reborn again. As we come out of the dark night of the soul, technically we are really birthing a new version of ourselves. That is really actually what's happening. I don't mean physically, but emotionally. We're not so wounded anymore, we're very strong, our nervous system has taken that in biologically now, we're quite strong emotionally. Physically, I don't think much is changing, but you might have a smile on your face. But as we're coming out of the dark night of the soul, these limiting beliefs that actually take a lot of energy for us to hold on to, as we drop them away, that energy gets expressed as bliss within us. Literally. I'm not asking you to believe me, because this will be becoming very clear to you as you do your breathing practices or whatever it is that you're doing in order to get out of the dark night of the soul. You'll notice that as you change these limiting beliefs within you, as you become this inner alchemist, you're transforming your pain into bliss, literally. Because of the release of all of that tight energy, that tight mental energetic energy that's holding on to these beliefs, as soon as they release, it's almost like one of those Febreze air fresheners. As soon as it releases, poof, like a blast of bliss will just rise up through you. It's like, oh wow, I forgot this is what I'm here for. I'm here to feel blissful in every moment. Now don't get me wrong, the dark night of the soul brings up repetitive wounds, right? And once we've cleared a lot of these, you're still going to feel pain. Really, this is just the journey to enlightenment. It's just to have an increased range of feeling. Really, an unnatural range of feeling. Not just negative, positive. But as we come out of the dark night of the soul, we don't get battered so much by the same pain, the same reoccurring pain that has the wound behind it. Once we've cleared the wound, or wounds, because we may have a few and we likely do, as we clear those wounds, we then may still feel pain, but it won't keep coming up again. You know, we're human, we're never not going to feel pain, we're still going to experience pain. But it won't be like on a karmic loop. You won't keep having the same pain come up for the same reasons over and over and over again. You won't be left there thinking, why is this pain here again? I thought I dealt with this. Because there's no energy holding on to these negative beliefs that are only holding these wounds in place in the first place. It's almost like we've nudged the rock out from underneath and the building's falling now and creating bliss within us. It's like when you were a kid. When you were a kid and you had this blissful, ecstatic feeling in every moment and everything was exciting. We're reconnected with that. It's a more mature version of that. But you do start feeling like a little kid again. Really, truly, I mean that. What else happens as we come out of the dark night of the soul as well is one day, literally, it will just kind of work like this. You sort of, obviously you're piecing bits together, but there will come a point when you'll be able to help other people out of the dark night of the soul as well, because because your awareness is increased and because you realise, it's like 20/20 vision. You've realised why you're in the dark night of the soul. You've seen why that was, and you're at this 20/20 point now looking forward as well, because you now know where you're going. But it's this dark night of the soul that creates this sort of holistic view within you. You see exactly what the spiritual path is doing, why it's doing it, what you're here for. I imagine the dark night of the soul being like a little karate white belt guy in the dojo, practicing every day, practicing his art. And he upgrades his belt as he goes through this continuous practice, the practice being our spiritual practice, in this dojo as he's really committed to his thing. And as we leave the dark night of the soul, we're sort of graduating out with a black belt. And we see, oh, I needed all of that training to become who I am now. Oh, and now I know exactly where I'm going as well. And this is the really exciting part of the dark night of the soul as it begins to end, because then you get to take responsibility and begin to create what it is that you feel passionate about. Perhaps in the dark night of the soul, our life feels like we're falling apart. You know, we can't, there's nothing, you know, what am I even here for? Well, this is kind of happening so that we bottom out. We bottom out and we take responsibility so we don't, you know, become homeless. We take responsibility for our lives and we see, oh, well, this is what I'm passionate about now. Here's what I want to create for myself. And usually it will be something spiritual. Usually. I don't want to say forever. But you know that you can now help people out of that stage of awakening, because we know how hard it is. And you'll be passionate about that. This is really the heart chakra opening up to life again. It's saying, well, forget about me. I now want to help people because it's needed. And because, you know, my heart is singing for it. That's usually the way it is. You end up becoming some sort of, I don't want to say the word teacher, but just through your experience, you'll end up teaching people naturally. Because you've been through the experience yourself. So that usually is what happens after the dark night of the soul. You teach. Or in one way or another, consciously or unconsciously, you'll do it. That'll do. If you're in the dark night of the soul, you're more than welcome to join us down below. There's a free community for awakening souls, especially when you're going through something like this. You can't necessarily speak to your parents, right, or friends, because they don't understand. But there's a community down below. There's about 40 people in it now. And you're more than welcome to join us there, because other people are going through the same things as you. This is the start of what is, I can assume, an inner revolution upon this planet. So if you want to talk about that, there's a free community down there. It's private. There's a link down below. You can access that there for free. It will always be free. That's my promise to you. Yeah, I think that'll do. The dark night of the soul really is like, it's an upgrade of your life. Take the spiritual side out of it. It's just, I think it's just natural. It's a natural process that life wants you to go through to purge all of the stuff that you were never mature enough to purge when you were younger. And what a joy. Really, what a joy it is as you come out of the other side of it with 20/20 vision, looking and seeing, oh, that's, now I've got a holistic view of it. Now I can see why that was happening. And now, what do I want to create looking forwards? This is up to me. This is exciting. I want to manifest abundance. Great, do it. I want to help people. Amazing, do it. Because you're freed up inside to be able to do that now. You're not in the mental dojo. You're not in the mental realm, the horrible suffering that this dark night of the soul that we create for ourselves with our minds. In the dark night of the soul, we're now free of that because we are lessening the attachment to that mind, and we're more entering the energetic field underneath our body that we always are, always were, but we don't put our attention on for some mad reason. I'm sat here thinking, well, how much time I wasted. How much time I wasted. Why was my spiritual practice not my main focus, my mainstay in every moment? How much time I wasted. Because how good I feel now. But, you know, it's life, isn't it? Sometimes we're ignorant and we don't know. We make silly mistakes, but, you know, I've forgiven myself for those mistakes. So, that's that. That's what happens after the dark night of the soul. You're a new being. You have less attachment to your ego. You feel blissful. You get to help other people. And then create the life of your dreams. Because there's nothing stopping you. There's no resistance within you stopping you now. You're a blank slate. You know now that thinking is a choice. You don't have to go into negative suffering if you don't want to, because that's the only thing that's really creating that pain back in the dark night of the soul. So here's to that, and have a really, really good day, because I might go back out in the sun. Peace.